I am letting them get a Chilling Neigh here, but Registeel gets up to +4 defense. I can bring in my Ice Rider here. Resist their Glacial Lance, threaten Altaria. And I think I'm ready to click a Body Press into their Calyrex. Episode 4. Let's spin the wheel again. Hopefully it's not Cosmo M so soon, but it could be. Let's see. Not Cosmo M. Registeel. Okay, what am I going to do with Registeel? Okay, so Registeel generally wants to play kind of a bulky game. And also, of course, it's not a restricted Pokemon, so it does give me some freedom in that sense. But, like, Iron Defense Body Press is the go-to way to use Registeel generally. I could give it Leftovers, probably. And so, then, I think what I want to do is, number one, if I'm trying to use Registeel in games, number one, I want to create openings for it to set up. Number two, I want to have strong answers to opposing special attackers and maybe strong special offense of my own. And number three, I want to not lose to Sacred Sword. So its Terra type should probably be something like Ghost or Poison. I think I prefer Poison in this format because there's such powerful Ghost type attacks flying around. How do I create openings for Registeel to set up, and how do I stop special attackers? And there's a third question now, of course, which is what are my two restricted Pokemon going to be? So to create openings, the most obvious thing is some double fake out stuff with Rillaboom and Incineroar, or redirection in the form of a Pokemon like Clefairy, Amoonguss, Electabuzz, Magmar. I actually think I might like Clefairy here. I've heard that it's not good in Reg I. I've not tried it myself so far. But Friend Guard and Life Dew could be very nice for a Registeel game plan. I also could run Smeargle, actually. Smeargle doesn't sit on the field for very long, but it certainly is a redirector. Then I need answers to... You know what? I need answers to Groudon, too, because if I run Terra Poison on this Registeel, then I'm weak to Groudon. Consistently. With Registeel. Alright, so the main special attackers in the format are... I mean, there are unrestricted ones as well, but for the restricted Pokemon, Shadow Rider, Calyrex, Miraidon, Kyogre, Lunala, Garapagos. Garapagos at least is threatened by Body Press. There's not really anything it can do about that. I can think about Wide Guard, and then of course there's also Groudon to watch out for. I'm pretty sure I do want Wide Guard on this team. I could run my own Lunala, or I mean I could run a non-restricted Pokemon with Wide Guard. What gets Wide Guard? Hitmontop gets Wide Guard, Smeargle obviously, Araquanid, Armarouge, Gallade, Hitmontop I already mentioned, Iron Valiant, Yanshao, Regigigas. Stonjourner. Yeah, I'm not sure. I could run Iron Valiant. And, like, Miraidon stuff, maybe. Or I could just put a booster energy on the Iron Valiant. But yeah, that could give me Wide Guard, it could give me Spirit Break. Does it really do anything else offensively to some of the problem Pokemon that I'm thinking about? Maybe it doesn't. I still need to think about my restricted Pokemon. So, I actually think I like Shadow Rider Calyrex on this team. I mean, I think to some extent I just like it on every team now, but Iron Defense Body Press Registeel gives me something of a threat to Terapagos, and maybe to Terra Normal Pokemon. And how do I beat opposing special attackers? Well, maybe to some extent I just outspeed them and blast them out of here. That said, I feel like I'm losing the plot a little bit. I'm not sure Iron Valiant is going to last. I actually think I prefer Smeargle. That can run Wide Guard and as well as Follow Me, Fake Out. Maybe then I don't have room for Decorate, but I think that's okay on this team. I could also go to Trick Room direction, so instead of Shadow Rider, I could run Lunala and, like, Ice Rider Calyrex. But again, I'm thinking about Kyogre, Groudon, opposing Shadow Rider. I don't know, this is a tough one. Maybe Trick Room is for the best here. I could just do like hard Trick Room. I could do Lunala, try to fit Wide Guard into its set somehow, bring Ice Rider Calyrex. And then who else? So typical Pokemon on a team like this would include Indeedee, Torkoal, Hatterene. Obviously I don't have room for all of this. Gallade. I need strong... So I have a pretty strong answer to opposing Shadow Rider, which is Lunala in Trick Room. Lunala even potentially setting up the Trick Room. I could run Indeedee on this for sure. Have double redirection. And then... Ursaluna could be good. Torkoal could be good. Do I really need Ursaluna when I have Registeel? I mean, Ursaluna's probably better than Registeel, but I didn't see the wheel give me Ursaluna's name. Good Blood Moon Ursaluna. Or, you know, Gallade is actually pretty interesting, because I think Gallade is very offensively strong into a lot of the Pokemon that I'm relatively worried about dealing with. Indeedee also gives me terrain against Miraidon. I feel like I could use some more powerful special offense this team, though, instead of just being all in on Lunala for that. Okay, so let's say I have a Lunala Indeedee Registeel mode, right? What fourth Pokemon might I want on that? Registeel helps Lunala deal with Terapagos. And like Zamazenta, I suppose. They're both okay into it. Opposing Shadow Rider's kind of covered. Maybe I want more into stuff like, again, Kyogre, especially bulky restricted. That hits extremely hard, although I do think I run Wide Guard on this Lunala. I think it's just Torkoal or Ursaluna. What am I missing? I feel like I must be missing something. I haven't talked about Koraidon, but I'm not missing that. I'm gonna try Torkoal. Special offense, good in Trick Room. Can just kind of blast into Groudon and at least force out the Terra. I'll try Torkoal. This is a weird team. I'm not sure that I like it, but we'll see how it goes. But I'll definitely be looking to set Registeel up at least at some point, so I'll go ahead and fill in the rest of the team, and then we'll get on the ladder. No, you know what? Looking it over, I'm kind of thinking this team has trouble with Incineroar. So I was thinking maybe King Gambit. I'm not sure King Gambit is actually good in this format, but maybe like Blood Moon Ursaluna is the real answer. Right? That gives me more of an offensive threat into Incineroar. It's still a powerful special attacker. It also gives me another thing to throw at Miraidon. Because, yes, I have Indeedee to change the terrain. I guess I'm still strong into Miraidon once Trick Room is up, because I have the Ice Rider. But I think I'm going to try Blood Moon Ursaluna here instead of Torkoal. Okay, now I'll finish building it out. Okay, so I remembered in the middle of this that Urshifu exists with those guaranteed critical hits. Hopefully Rocky Helmet Indeedee can be of some help with that. But yeah, pretty straightforward stuff otherwise. I did in the end have a tough choice between Moonblast and Wide Guard on Lunala, especially with Smeargle carrying Wide Guard already. But I did stick to my guns and choose Wide Guard for now. We'll see how that turns out. The only other really notable thing here is that Registeel and Ice Rider Calyrex have the same base speed. And then Blood Moon Ursaluna is only 2 points higher. I have made Registeel 1 stat point higher. Stat points is the term for EVs, right? Officially. Registeel's speed is 1 point higher than Calorex's. That's what I'm saying. Calorex is 1 point slower than Registeel. That way in Trick Room, I can rip off a big Glacial Lance and then body press or whatever into something that survives it. But with that IV of 2, Registeel is still a point slower than Blood Moon Ursaluna. Anyway, let's see how it goes. There's definitely a lot to try to cover for with this team, which suggests what I suspect already, that Registeel is probably not especially good in this format, but doesn't matter. We're not only using good legendaries here. In fact, I don't think we've gotten one yet. Solgaleo performed okay. Anyway, got an opposing Trick Room team, so that seems like a rough matchup. They do have that Kyogre. And Torkoal. Yeah, kind of hard to just set Registeel up on this Ice Rider as much as I'd like to. Maybe I do bring Registeel in the back, though, to try to check the Ice Rider. I could do Smeargle Lunala lead, maybe? I don't even know if I want to set Trick Room necessarily, but I could go for that Meteor Beam into Kyogre if they lead that. Or I could do Indeedee Lunala. That covers a bit better for Urshifu and not quite as well for Kyogre. I'll do Smeargle Lunala, Registeel, Calyrex. But yeah, this looks like a tough matchup for sure. They do lead Kyogre and Urshifu. Alright, well, which one to cover for more was kind of moot then. Which one do I want to fake out? I think Kyogre is less likely to have Protect. That's how I'm going to decide that. The only thing though is Lunala is under so much pressure from the Urshifu. I'm going to fake out the Urshifu. And I think I will just go for my Meteor Beam into Kyogre. Right, I can follow me next turn with Smeargle. Lunala is faster than Kyogre, that's good to know. It does have a higher base speed, but that means this is a slow Kyogre for them to use in Trick Room. They crit Lunala with the Origin Pulse, but through Shadow Shield it still doesn't do too much. And I am just going to click Follow Me here and Moongeist Beam into Kyogre. I do eventually need damage on the Urshifu, though. I don't have a great way to get that right now, especially when both my restricted Pokemon are weak to that Wicked Blow. They sure are. Of course, I can't protect around it. I can Terra Dark Lunala. I'll go Registeel here. I can Body Press and... yeah, I'll Terra Dark Lunala here. I will just go for a unboosted Body Press into Urshifu. I don't know that it does all that much, but we'll find out. And let's see if I can just get this Calyrex with Moongeist Beam. Yeah, single strike Urshifu is a problem. Care Fire, okay. We do survive one Wicked Blow. Do 60% to Calyrex. Not the worst. And I do have a 2-hit KO into Urshifu with the Body Press, especially since they can't Terrastallize it now. I think I'll just sack Lunala here and get my own Calyrex in. I'll click Moongeist Beam into their Calyrex, but they're not going to let me pull the attack off. Maybe I should have clicked Wide Guard just to deny them Chilling Neigh, but we do get rid of Urshifu here. Of course, they still have one more Pokemon after that. This is probably a speed tie between our two Calyrex, but more importantly, they have Torkoal and Sun, and I've used my Terra, so I just lose this one. I would think... yeah, there's not even really a realistic way to protect through it or anything. Yep, we just dropped to Eruption. Okay. On to the next game. Groudon, Miraidon, Farigiraf, Chi-Yu, Urshifu, and Hisuian Lilligant. This one could be another single strike Urshifu easily. Yeah, Groudon's kind of a problem. Registeel is just bad into both of these restricteds, really, and also into Chi-Yu. Probably also into Urshifu and Hisuian Lilligant. It sure does check for Farigiraf, though. This could be an Indeedee or Smeargle lead with either one of my restricted sitting Trick Room. Oh, hang on, I'm getting a phone call. I'm gonna pause the recording. Never mind, I missed the call. I only noticed right at the end, I guess. Maybe they'll leave a message. Okay. What am I doing? I just paused the recording for like a second for nothing. Smeargle. Lunala, Calyrex, Ursaluna. Okay, Groudon, Chi-Yu lead. Do you think they'll let me just wide guard? No, I can't just wide guard because I want to set Trick Room. They could have Snarl. Oh, I can wide guard with Smeargle. That's what I'm going to do. Wide guard Trick Room. If they Dark Pulse Lunala, good for them. Big play. Most phone calls I get now are just scams. Or telecom companies trying to offer deals. So, no big deal. I now cannot spore anything because Miraidon has just come in. I can follow me. Attack Smeargle, get Calyrex in. They probably won't click spread moves because I just showed the wide guard last turn. And just go for my Meteor Beam setup into Miraidon. Yeah, big damage. Ah, they do just click Precipice Blades. Volt Switch. Okay, so Smeargle... I actually didn't want Smeargle to dodge the Precipice Blades there. I wanted Smeargle to get knocked out. But unfortunately, it was not to be. Lunala is really awkwardly positioned now. I think what I'm going to do is just hard switch Calyrex in and go from Moongeist Beam into Groudon. Yeah, it is actually unfortunate for me that Smeargle dodged that Precipice Blades. But Calyrex comes in nicely on that Trick Room, or Psychic. Don't quite get the KO into Groudon. They Heat Crash Lunala. One of my restrictions is gone, but the other one is here in Trick Room, and I'm just going to double down on offense and bring in Ursaluna. Glacial Lance. Might as well Blood Moon the Farigiraf. Try to get 2 KOs here. And then I just have Miraidon to deal with in the back. And if I do knock both these out this turn, which I don't because Groudon protects, but if I force Miraidon in here anyway this turn, then I still have a turn of Trick Room, and Miraidon doesn't normally carry Protect. And Groudon just protected, so I should just have 2 safe KOs with Glacial Lance here. Oh, I forgot they still have Chi-Yu. That's still okay. I mean, it gives them room to get Miraidon in, but I haven't yet shown the Terra Dragon on Calyrex. And I can just Glacial Lance here and Earth Power Chi-Yu. They do get Miraidon in outside of Trick Room, but I should still be able to beat it. Terra Ghost. Doesn't matter to Earth Power. It also wouldn't matter to a normal attack because it's Blood Moon Ursaluna. And we win this one. Although, I didn't bring Registeel. So, not much of a Registeel showcase. Kyogre, Zamazenta, Roaring Moon. I keep almost calling this Pokemon Raging Bolt in my commentary. I don't know why. It's Roaring Moon, Rillaboom, Chien-Pao, and Amoonguss. Pretty dangerous. I'm realizing I don't have safety goggles anywhere on my team. I have a couple of Grass Terras, and that's it. And I probably don't want to Terrestrialize Smeargle and Indeedee in most matchups. And of course, I can only Terrestrialize one in any matchup, but the option exists if I want it. I could lead Smeargle Calyrex here, maybe. I Fake Out Pressure into something like Kyogre. That kind of loses to Zamazenta, though. You know what? I think I do go for Trick Room game plan here. I do lead Smeargle, and I can Terra Grass follow me in front of Amoonguss, at least in some situations if I really need to. And I think we leave Registeel behind again for this one. Okay, Kyogre, Chien-Pao. That's pretty hard to deal with. I'm gonna Fake Out into Chien-Pao. Am I? There's so many things that I can do, but I can't figure out what the best one is, because I could Wide Guard and probably stop Kyogre's attack. That leaves Calyrex vulnerable to Chien-Pao. It might not have Dark-type attack other than Sucker Punch. Yeah, I'm going to gamble on that. They actually just switch it out for Rillaboom. Okay. And protect Kyogre, so didn't really especially matter what I did there. Smeargle gets a special defense boost and a speed drop. That's actually kind of perfect in this position. They might fake it out, but I'm going to click Spore into Kyogre. And I'll just click Glacial Lance. They can fake somebody out, but... no. Spore into Kyogre and protect. Because if they fake Smeargle out, then I don't really want Calyrex taking a Water Spout. Fire on the Rillaboom. Kyogre takes a nap. Smeargle gets knocked down to its Sash. Okay. I might want to preserve Smeargle if I can. I guess I'll hard switch Lunala in, and I'll go for high horsepower into Rillaboom. Grassy Glide. Breaks Shadow Shield, doesn't do too much otherwise. High horsepower doesn't quite KO, but now I can Meteor Beam into Kyogre and Glacial Lance, and that should pick Rillaboom up even through the resistance. Obviously they can switch, protect, but yeah, get Chip into Kyogre this way as well. They do switch. I'll at least break a Focus Sash on Chien-Pao. Meteor beaming that slot might have been nice. Oh well. Big Origin Pulse. Okay. I'm gonna Wide Guard and... I don't have to Wide Guard, because I'm still slower. There's still Trick Room up. They'll probably protect Kyogre this turn anyway. You know what I'm gonna do? If I think they're protecting this turn, I'm going to do the double Trick Room play. It's a little bit risky, but if it works, then I'm really well positioned for the rest of this game. So the idea behind this play, if you haven't seen it before, is using Trick Room when Trick Room is already active reverses the Trick Room. If you use Trick Room again, you get Trick Room back up. Full set of turns. Yep. We did it. They showed Sucker Punch, though, so that's pretty scary. Yeah, how do I beat that? I do get my Trick Room reset. I mean, I can Terrestrialize one of my Pokemon. The question is which one. I can Terra Dark Luna. I can Terra Dark Lunala, go for the KO into Kyogre and switch Smeargle in. Play around Sucker Punch that way. They go Zamazenta. They do Sucker Punch the Lunala. It actually does a fair bit, but another one probably won't KO. I could click Spore into Chien-Pao here, but I think it's better to just follow me. They protect Zamazenta. Fair enough. But yeah, we redirect Sucker Punch this way. Nope, not that move. Take out Zamazenta, but already going into the last turn of Trick Room again, and I've only gotten one of their restricteds. At least they didn't bring a Moongus to this game. I'm going to go Ursaluna here, because Calyrex is really threatened by their Chien-Pao. And I mean, they can only fake out one of my Pokemon. I think I lose this, but I'm going to try not to. I've just let the Chien-Pao get away with so much for so long. Okay, that was a roll, but what can you do? We know it's a roll because it did less the previous time. Yeah, they closed this one out. All right, I'm gonna start making a point of bringing Registeel because I think we are getting kind of late in the video here. Pelipper, Ice Rider, Calyrex, Lunala, Amoonguss, Ursaluna, and Altaria. A lot of tough matchups for this team on the ladder today, but I mean, that might just mean that the team is bad. This actually might be a Registeel game, though. Even without forcing it. Let's bring that and Smeargle, and then my 2 restricteds in the back. I think Lunala and Ice Rider Calyrex is a pretty iffy restricted pair. That shared Dark Weakness is a problem in some of these matchups. I don't think I recommend using them together in tournament play. I don't know what this Altaria does. It could set up with Cotton Guard, it could have Will-O-Wisp, it could have Perish Song, although I'm not sure what that would be doing on this team. I'm going to fake it out, though, because Registeel is not as afraid of the Ice Rider, to be honest. Just go Glacial Lance. Big damage to Smeargle, but small damage to Registeel. Smeargle gets a speed boost. Very nice. I can Spore something now. And I think it's actually going to be Altaria, because I don't know what that Pokemon does on this team, and that makes me a little bit afraid of it. I am letting them get a Chilling Neigh here, but Registeel gets up to +4 defense. I can bring in my Ice Rider here. Resist their Glacial Lance, threaten Altaria, and I think I'm ready to click a Body Press into their Calyrex. Oh, there's Steel, okay. I could have gotten to +6 defense. Oh well. My Calyrex is faster than Altaria. I'll go for another Body Press with their Calyrex and a high horsepower into Altaria. It might seem weird that I'm focusing down the Altaria so much, but like, I don't want Registeel to take a Will-O-Wisp, which I think is totally plausible for what this Pokemon is running. There it goes. I get a Chilling Neigh. They gave theirs up, by the way. Did they bring Pelipper or Lunala? Either one could click Wide Guard and make my Calyrex a little bit sad. Yeah, it is Lunala. That is kind of a problem here. I'll try to chip it with Iron Head, I think. I'll protect my Calyrex for now. Then I have high horsepower +1 next turn. It's still not amazing, but you know, it'll do something. I have a lot of special bulk on Registeel, so it takes that Moongeist beam pretty nicely. They went for Spore into my Calyrex. I actually can Glacial Lance here, as long as they don't Wide Guard. They didn't Wide Guard that turn, so, you know, maybe. Nope, no Wide Guard. Just Moongeist beam into Registeel, doesn't KO. Get some more chip, and we get a big Glacial Lance at +1, double KO, very nice. I'll get Registeel putting in work this game, creating openings for its Ice Rider partner to close out the win. Keep playing until I lose one more. I'll try at least to bring Registeel to every game. Koraidon, Shadow Rider Calyrex, a Gouging Fire, Araquanid, Teal Mask, Ogerpon, and King Gambit. This is some serious physical spam right here. I think Registeel looks pretty good here again. Terra Poison, Registeel. Just have to watch out for the Koraidon in the early game, but I can bring one of my Follow Me Pokemon, maybe Indeedee because of the Rocky Helmet. Chip them down with that. Let's lead Registeel and Indeedee. Let's bring my 2 restricteds in the back. Honestly, Blood Moon or Ursaluna is pretty strong here. It's not that strong here. It's strong into some of these Pokemon, but not others. I'll bring my restricteds. Okay, King Gambit and Araquanid leading. I believe Araquanid gets Wide Guard. I mean, in this very video, I looked at a list of Pokemon that get Wide Guard, and I'm pretty sure Araquanid was on there. I'm going to go straight for an Iron Defense and Follow Me. They'll probably knock out Indeedee here, but just getting that +2 on Registeel, I think, can go a long way in this game. Yeah, they knock out Indeedee. That's hopefully fine. They show the Terra Fairy on King Gambit. It will now resist the Body Press, which is a little bit awkward, because Registeel's other attack is Iron Head. It's just not that good, but I got Lunala. They can't Sucker Punch Lunala. Lunala is kind of awkwardly positioned here because I don't want to Terrestrialize it. I want to save that for Registeel, especially since we haven't seen the Koraidon hit the field yet. I'm just going to keep going for that Iron Defense on Registeel, and I'm going to go for my Meteor Beam into Araquanid. And I might lose Lunala to King Gambit, but I'm looking to beat King Gambit with Registeel. Or like maybe Ice Rider can beat King Gambit. Maybe I should have brought Ice Rider in here actually, because again, the King Gambit can't Sucker Punch in this position. Oh, but the reason I didn't do that was that the Araquanid is threatening Wide Guard, right? So if they click that, then Glacial Lance just does nothing. And King Gambit has turned off its high horsepower weakness. That's a pretty slow way to chip it down. Kowtow Cleave, but thanks to Shadow Shield, no KO. Registeel gets a +4. They are threatening to just blow me up with this Shadow Rider Calyrex now. I don't really have grid answers to that. I have Terra Dark on Lunala, but again, I don't want to use it when I think the... Can I get away with not terrestrializing Registeel, given that I'm about to get it to +6 defense? Can I do that? Can I Terra Dark? I don't know if Lunala even survives these 2 hits with Terra Dark. I'm just going to click Wide Guard. And presumably sack Lunala, but not to the Astral Barrage. Get Ice Rider in. They actually low kick into Registeel, so Lunala does get through this turn. Alright, I'm going to try to make a play. Protect Registeel, Terra Dark, Trick Room. They protect their Calyrex. Okay, that's huge. Kowtow Cleave into Lunala. It survives, even with a crit. I get Trick Room up. Alright. Last turn of Psychic Terrain. This one remaining turn, they still can't Sucker Punch. So I'm going to Iron Head and Moongeist Beam into the Calyrex slot. If it stays in, I can knock it out through a Focus Sash. Nope. They underspeed Lunala, knock it out with Low Kick. Didn't think that all the way through. But, okay, now I get Ice Rider and Registeel. I still have Trick Room. They can Sucker Punch my Calyrex. I doubt it one-shots. Surely not, right? I'm going to go Iron Head into King Gambit and Glacial Lance. They protect their Calyrex. They don't Sucker Punch. We don't quite get the KO. Do we flinch them? We do flinch them. Okay. Glacial Lance, and never mind, they forfeit. Alright, Registeel at +6 defense. We never saw their last Pokemon, but it was guaranteed to be a physical attacker because that was all they had left. And so I didn't have the Terra Poison anymore, but +6 defense Registeel. I wonder how much it takes from a Flare Blitz or a close combat. Probably still a lot, but I don't think it just gets dropped. And I can body press them back. Okay, we got a bulky Lugia team. Maybe a Dancer team too. They've got three possible Quiver Dance users, including Oricorio, but what I mean is 2 others, so they could... It's hard to pull off in a high-power format like this, but they could use Dancer to get Oricorio 2 Quiver Dances in a single turn. But then there's also the Lugia stuff, of course. Registeel's not great into Lugia, actually, because they usually carry Earth Power. And they attack on the special side, so Iron Defense does nothing... Iron Defense does nothing into like any of this team. There's no physical attacker here. So, I know I said I was going to make a point of bringing Registeel to my games, but I think there's just not much case for it in this one. I like Smeargle, because I can Spore things. I like Lunala, because I have a lot of rock weaknesses for that initial Meteor Beam. I like Calyrex and I like Ursaluna, because they're strong. Oricorio Frostmoth lead, so they have Wide Guard available. This is why I didn't lead Calyrex, basically. Does Frostmoth get Shield Dust? It does, so Fake Out is not necessarily useful into it. I can't Fake Out the Ghost-type Oricorio. I can just go straight for Spore into, let's say, Oricorio. And a Meteor Beam into Frostmoth. They might switch out. I don't think I love this lead position for them, but yeah, I don't know what this team's going to do. They don't have a lot that wants to switch in on Meteor Beam. The Gastrodon resists, and of course the Lugia can take it fine with Multiscale, but... And they could have a Focus Sash on the Frostmoth, but it could also be on the Oricorio. I really don't know on this team. But we'll see how they deal with this. They protect Oricorio, and Wide Guard. Okay. I don't know what they were covering for with that Wide Guard. These Pokemon aren't really known for running spread moves, unless I guess I switched Indeedee in and had Expanding Force on Lunala. But yeah, we do just knock out the Frostmoth with Meteor Beam and they forfeit, so that was a quick one. Ice Rider, Kyogre, Indeedee, Incineroar, Raging Bolt, and Araquanid. So some Rain Room stuff here. Registeel is very strong into Ice Rider. And honestly, Araquanid too, to an extent. but of course not so strong into Kyogre, Raging Bolt, and Incineroar. Nonetheless, I will bring Registeel to this game for sure. I'll probably bring Ice Rider as well because it's one of my restricteds. Although this is actually not a very good Ice Rider matchup. It's not a very good Ursaluna matchup though either, unless I get Trick Room, which I could. I think Araquanid is probably slower than Blood Moon Ursaluna, right? Yeah, the base speed is lower, and I think they're probably running min speed on this team. I'll lead Smeargle, Registeel. And I'll bring Lunala and Calyrex, and we'll see what we can do. Alright, it's their Calyrex and Indeedee, so I can't fake the Calyrex out this turn, but I'm not terribly afraid of it with Registeel on the field. I'm just going to go straight for Spore into it. It could be Safety Goggles, Follow Me, Indeedee or something, but they probably do follow me. I think they want to set Trick Room with this lead. Putting Indeedee to sleep isn't the worst thing, though. And I'll just go straight for an Iron Defense. Yep, they follow me. Indeedee takes a nap. It doesn't have Safety Goggles. I think they usually don't, but sometimes they do. Calyrex sets Trick Room. Smeargle gets a speed drop from Moody, so that's some good luck for me there. I'm going to go straight for Spore into Calyrex and another Iron Defense. Kyogre comes in, but Registeel is going to underspeed that in Trick Room, and I now get a +4 Body Press. Smeargle still has its speed dropped. Yeah, I'm going to Spore Calyrex slot again and just go for Body Press into Kyogre. I get Glacial Lance off first, but Smeargle has the Sash, and Registeel just doesn't take much. Body Press does good damage to Kyogre. They go Origin Pulse. That does a lot to Registeel. But I guess I want to get my Calyrex in here. Right, because Lunala will be faster than Kyogre on this team. They're running a slow Kyogre, I'm sure. But then Registeel just underspeeds it anyway. But Lunala will also be faster than Ice Rider, but I can Meteor Beam. I'm going to go Lunala and try to Meteor Beam the Ice Rider. Yeah, just Body Press into Kyogre. They can Protect if they have it, or they can switch. But point is, Kyogre's not an offensive threat this turn. Thanks to my opponent's own Trick Room. We do just knock out the Indeedee there. Rocky Helmet, but Registeel still surviving. We missed Meteor Beam. Alright, it happens. There's the Araquanid. I guess I'll double up into Calyrex this turn. Or just lose Lunala to a Liquidation. And Registeel to a high horsepower. Alright, that works too, I guess. Alright, and suddenly all I have left is my Ice Rider Calyrex. I guess I got a little bit greedy there. I knew that Araquanid was going to be slower than any of my team. I did call that out earlier. But yeah, I have no way to beat this now. They do let me get the Glacial Lance, but both these Pokemon are bulky and resist it. And we'll drop to that Rain Boosted Liquidation. Yeah, this Rain Room with Araquanid is a pretty cool team. Of course, with Water Bubble, its Water-type attacks already hit extremely hard, and then it gets the Rain Boost as well. I like it. It's a neat tech for sure, and a tough matchup for this team that I was running. But hey, we did see Registeel put in some work today. I really can't complain about that. It's a Pokemon that I think is hard to find a place for in this meta, but it does answer some of these Ice Rider Calyrex sets pretty well. And I was able to, in some of these games, just rapidly boost its defense and make it hard for some compositions to break through. I think I could probably have found better teammates for Registeel, but it's also just a pretty niche Pokemon in this format, so overall I'm pretty happy with how it did here, and we'll see what the wheel gives us next time.